Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And this week we're doing another backtesting video. However, I'm thinking I might take a break from them and make videos, explaining my daily bias, how I get my trade entries and all of that before I come back to the backtesting series, just to help those people out that don't really understand how to get down to, the point where you actually take your trade. And then also, would you guys be interested in seeing my live trade breakdowns? Because it's all nice and good seeing me backtest and seeing that the strategy works, but would you guys like to see it work in the real market? Like, if you guys be interested in that, let me know down in the comments and I'll be sure to start posting my live trade breakdowns and stuff like that. But yeah, before we get into the video, I just want to say a big thank you for everyone who's been showing love, been commenting, been liking, been following and subscribing. I just want to say thank you both to YouTube and the TikTokers. But yeah, without wasting any more time, let's get into the actual video. Okay guys, I remember last week was a good week, or at least backtesting. I got to show you guys at least a bit of the strength of the strategy and how I actually trade. I mean, hopefully this week is good as well. Probably going to take some losses because we didn't lose that much last week. Probably could take some winners, you never know in it. But yeah, let's go, let's start. Yeah, so starting off, it's Friday. I don't trade Friday, so we're just going to skip to the Monday and the next week. Next day open, okay, it's Monday, it's 8 AM. So like we always do, guys, I'm just going to start speed running the days because you guys, you should know the pattern by now. We start from the daily. Looking at this day, we swept the previous day's low but failed to close, which means we should be bullish, aiming for this previous day's high. Once price reaches this previous day's high, anything can happen, but as of right now, I would want to be bullish, aiming for that high. We're going to just mark that as previous day's high. Wants to work. FX replay have changed their software recently. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if I like it or not, but yeah, let's see. I'm still trying to understand it. Okay, so the price action looks very ugly right now, but I don't see anywhere we can really take buys from to get to this previous day's high on the H4 at least. On the H1 I still don't see anywhere, which means that, okay, cool, I was about to say, well, the sessions, which means that price could just do something like this. It's because there's no PDA rate below, we could see price maybe sweep Asia's low, use that as like fuel or momentum to carry on upwards. Honestly, or we could just continue dumping. The market isn't as clear right now, so I'm just going to play it forward. Where's the, okay, here you are. Yeah, I'm just going to drop to the M15 and play it forward and just see. If price gives me a chance to enter long before we reach this high, I'm going to take it. If it doesn't, I'll probably wait for us to see. If we react off this high, get a sell. I'll enter for the sell. If we don't, then I probably won't trade today. But let's... Okay, well, this is a nice setup. I would love to obviously take this for a buy off here. We swept Asia's low. I'll use that as my PD array. And aiming just for this high. This could be my trade. So we have the liquidity sweep, break of structure, big multiple highs broken, fair value gap in the move that broke structure, no fair value gap below. Oh, actually, tell a lie, there's a very small one below. In a situation like this, what you could do is cover the fair value gap below if you're very convicted price is going to go up, as I am, or you could just not take the trade. That's really it. And then the last one is price hasn't moved back into this area once the order block became valid. So this is a 1 to 2.7. I'm going to aim for a 1 to 3. And let's see if price, tags us in. I'm going to place the order. Oh, this is ugly. No, why have they changed it? Oh, no, I pressed the wrong thing. Anyways. Yeah, let's play forward and see if price tags us in. If price gets to this high before I get tagged in, I'm not taking this trade. I'm no longer interested. Yep, that's what happened. So that's us done with this. We didn't take the buy. Now, my next thing that's going to happen, I'm looking at seeing how price reacts off this area. If we can see a chalk, I'm more than happy to take a sell. If we continue up and it gives us a buy opportunity, I'm more than happy to do that also. And by the way, for those who don't remember what this line is the previous day's high. Let's see what price does. Okay. Around the previous day's high, what did we do? This is a nice strong close, but it looks like price is coming back into this area, which means I'll be expecting it to respect this area, this fair value gap here, or just shoot through it and come all the way back down to this area. So let's see what price does. Like I said, you don't need to predict. You're not a genie. You don't need to guess. This is a very nice order block for a sell, probably on the M5. If I was very, very convicted price is going down. I mean, why is it the line up? Okay, cool. I mean, I'm not really against taking a sell now that we swept this previous day's high. It's a low probability sell, of course, 100%, but I'm not against it. Let's see. Okay, so this was a... Oh yeah, on the H4, there's really no fair value gap there. Like, the fair value gap hasn't formed yet because this candle hasn't closed. On the H1, I guess there is a fair value gap here, but honestly, with that H4, how the way the H4 is looking, I'm not really against taking a sell all the way back down to like these areas here. Let me see what the M15 has to provide. M15, on the M15, there's really no sell up here. On the M5, let me check. On the M5, okay. Now this is like the more intricate parts of my strategy, but I'm not sure if you guys can see this, but this order block here, this white candle, is a valid order block. So if we go through everything we normally need, we have the liquidity sweep, we swept this high here, that's one. Fair value gap in the move that broke this structure, that's these two, that's two. What's the third one? No fair value gap above, as far as I can tell, yeah. There is no fair value gap above where your stop loss should be, that's three. It's unmitigated, and I know it looks like price has mitigated this zone, but when I say it's unmitigated, I mean after it becomes valid. So once price sweeps this low, that's when the order block is valid. If price mitigates it before then it's not really relevant. So that's four, and then the last one is, I don't know. Honestly, I don't remember, guys. But okay, so there's the liquidity sweep, the breaker structure, fair value gap, no fair value gap above where your stop loss should be, and then unmitigated. Yeah, that's all five. So I would be interested in this zone for a sell. Just interested. This is a low probability sell, guys. I do want to let you know that if I lose this, I wouldn't be surprised and I wouldn't be upset as well, because I came in knowing it's a lower tier setup. An M15. Now, where am I going to aim is the real question. We do have that H. Where's a 1 to 3 first of all? 1 to 3 is at the 0.5 of this fair value gap. I am not really against that. I'm not really against this 1 to 3. That's probably what I'm going to aim for. I could really stretch it and show you guys the full potential of this strategy and aim for here, but I really just want to, you know, take a good, nice, clean win if it wins, or a short, quick loss if it loses. So, yeah, that's really it for this trade, guys. I don't really see a reason why I don't take it. The only reason I wouldn't take this right now is because the market conditions isn't as clear as it could be. The trade is valid, but market conditions aren't as clear. You know, we're going kind of sideways. We've been chopping since like the 12th of January. So it's not really the best market conditions, but it's still a valid trade. When does this hourly candle close? So 15. That is okay. So let me place the trade, place order and save. Now, if price gets to my take profit, because I do believe price is still heading down, you know what? Let me see how price closes, and then I'll determine from there. Is that the hourly close? Okay. So now that the hourly has closed like this, if I was to readjust my take profit, because I do believe we are still going down, I'm not going to delete this entry because it hasn't really reached an area of invalidation. Like, if it came all the way down to like this fair value gap here, or like it came deeply into this fair value gap, I'll no longer be interested in the trade. You know, like looking at this hourly close, I could delete my entry, but I don't believe that this fair value gap really invalidates my trade. Like this would have been my, like if I was to set partial, it would be my TP1. So I do believe there is still more room for price to fall. So what I'm going to do is adjust my take profit because price has already hit it, and I'm going to aim for this low if this does become a low. And let me just play it forward because I don't know what price is playing at right now. Okay, sorry, let me... I do believe this trade is still valid. Oof. Price didn't tag me, and that's unfortunate. Like now, in a situation like this, let's just say, you know, you're very, very bearish in this case, and your TP was a bit more on the conservative side, like a 1 to 3. And price hits that 1 to 3 when you know that it's possible a 1 to 8 can happen, 1 to 9 can happen. You don't need to necessarily delete your entry, and like the trade is still valid, if that makes sense. The setup hasn't been invalidated. It's just hit your original TP. Okay, we're tagged in. Honestly, if price does hit my stop loss, I wouldn't be really surprised because I did say it was a lower tier setup. Let's play forward and let's see. Oh, price delivers straight to the take profit. Yeah, I mean, I just have a good feeling that price is gonna go down. I don't even think we're gonna stop here. I do believe price can make it to this fair value gap here, It just is. It's the classic when you price goes to like a previous day's high or something. It's just a classic reversal. Honestly, like that's really just a classic. Honestly, it is genuinely a classic, guys. But yeah, like this was a good trade. Like it was a good clean trade. It was a low probability setup. Like if this lost, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised. But it is still a valid and good trade. It just happened to work out in this case. I could take this trade the next day, tomorrow, which will be the Tuesday, and it could lose. And I wouldn't really be surprised because I know it's a lower tier setup. If you missed this original sell or you were waiting for extra confirmation, you could take this order block here. This is also valid. I'm not going to take it because obviously I only take one trade a day. But if you're someone who takes multiple trades a day and you reduce your risk or something, then that could be an idea, you know, that you'd be willing to entertain. Let me just play it forward and see what it does. So I'll go to next day. Oh yeah, see, I told you I wouldn't be really surprised if price came all the way into this fair value gap. This was a classic reversal of the previous day's high. Like you tend to see this a lot more. Yeah, that's really it for that day. I don't really have anything to say. That was not my best of setups, but you know, I'm just showing you guys the versatility of the strategy. Okay, so for Tuesday, as we always do, I'm gonna delete everything now, like we do every single day. We go to the daily. On this day, what's our bias? We swept the previous day's high but failed to close above. So we should be bearish aiming for this previous day's low. But as you can see, price has already swept this previous day's low, which means we could see one of two things. Previous day's low. We could see a reversal of this previous day's low sweep and then price shoot to the upside, or we could just see price break down. And looking at the H4, the way price had a nice strong close below this previous day's low, it does, you know, indicate that price wants to continue lower, which means that I would most likely be looking for sells. I mean, if price shoots up into this fair value gap, I could be looking for something like this. Price shoots up in and then down. Or we could just take the sell straight away. Like, it doesn't have to get to that fair value gap. That'll just be higher probability. So in the 1 hour, what's really going on? Okay. I know I said this fair value gap is here, but just looking at the H4, because we saw a nice strong close below, I don't believe price is going to push all the way back up here. So that H1 fair value gap, I feel like this could suffice for price to push down, if that makes sense. There's also this order block here, which I wouldn't mind, you know, waiting to see how price reacts off of. So we have this order block, but I do believe this fair value gap is going to hold more than the order block because price tends to just, you know, push to liquidity and fair value gap. Okay, so I'm just going to play it forward. That was really it. I didn't do a lot of analysis. There's not, you know, a lot of clarity in the markets right now. So let's see how price reacts off this fair value gap. Okay, well, that's all I have to say. Yeah, so price did basically what I was thinking. See, now price is dumping. When price dumps like this, never just accept it as price dumping. You have to see where we dump into, because if you didn't get a chance to enter in on this sell, this move down, you could get a chance to enter in on like a pullback or a retracement because we enter on the lower time frames. So I am going to mark up lows and see how price reacts with them. If I can see price give me a nice wick below this low or this low or this low, and then, you know, form myself for a buy, I wouldn't be against that. So I am going to just see how price reacts around that low first, because there's really nowhere else for me to enter if I want to take a trade today. So let's see. Okay, I mean, we wicked the low and shot back up. On the M15, there's no entry. On the M5, is there an entry? There is, but I mean, I do feel like it's a bit premature. Well, maybe not. Okay, this order block completely valid on M15. If you go through aiming for, okay, look, if price reacts or reverses off this 4-hour area, the next place my eye will be drawn to is this fair value gap here. This high / this fair value gap. What's this? I'm just gonna call this liquidity. Let me delete this. So if price, if, and you guys, you hear me say if a lot because we're thinking in terms of probability. If price reacts off this and we're shooting up, the next area of interest is this high and this fair value gap. But for me, honestly, I believe if I see the H4 close and the H4 close is exactly how it looks right now, this is a very high probability that we are going to reverse because we swept so many lows. I'm assuming, you know, price is now wanting to pull back, into probably this fair value gap before we see a continuation to the downside. Now on the H1, that's really it. I don't really see anything else, and I do wanna. I'm gonna give it one more candle. Actually. I'm gonna give it one more candle. Actually, I want to see the H4 close. Yeah, look at that. Nice wick of this low. Like that's a very strong indication when you're going to the upside, which then validates this buy for me. This order block here. We're going through everything we go through. Liquidity sweep, break of structure. We broke these highs. Fair value gap. There's 3. That's even better. Unmitigated. Price hasn't pushed back into this order block once it became valid. That's 4. And no fair value gap near my stop loss. I mean, as far as I can tell, there is no fair value gap near my stop loss. So that's all 5, which makes this valid, which means the trade is valid for me. I'll be aiming for these highs, place, order. I've seen this trade quite a bit. Like this type of trades are the trades that tend to pull off and give you a higher risk to reward. Let's see if I get tagged in though. Okay. I mean, one more candle. In this situation, I'm now torn because there's 2 setups. You guys can't see it yet unless you've really trained your eye for it, but there's this extreme order block and there's a flip zone in here on the M5, I believe. Okay, yeah. It will be a flip zone on the M5, this order block here. Now, the extreme is the highest probability because there is no, fair value gaps or anything below it, so it is most likely to hold, but price may not go back to this extreme. And that's where the problem comes in because you may not get entry or you may not get a setup even though you understand where price is going to go if we do go to where I believe it's going to go. So what you could do is take a trade here off this flip zone, risk 0.5% and put another 0.5% on this extreme and then take both trades, which does work. But for the case of this, I'm just going to take this flip zone. If I lose, I lose. Then maybe I'll try to take off the extreme, but like for the sake of this video, I am going to take this flip zone because I don't believe price is coming back to this extreme. I don't know, it's not high probability. Now for this trade, we have the liquidity sweep, yes, we have the fair value gap, the move that broke structure, that's 2, we have the break of structure, that's 3. The 4th one is price is unmitigated, that's 4. But if you guys can see, although it's not directly below this order block, there is still a fair value gap in the vicinity. Now, what you could do is just keep it very tight and just ignore this fair value gap if that's more than enough space for you. And then, just carry out your normal analysis, aiming for what this is. Or what you could do is, if you're very sure price is going up, however, you are scared of this fair value gap, what you could do is cover the fair value gap, which is what I'm going to do in this example. Cover the fair value gap and give your trade a bit more space in case price pushes into this area and then, continues up. And because, obviously, I do think this extreme is valid, I am going to do that just for the case of this trade. But yeah, that's really it. I don't really see a reason why I don't take this continuation trade, and I am aware of this fair value gap and this order block, but when you're going bullish, you shouldn't be looking at bearish PDA arrays, if that makes sense. So don't let them stop you from taking your trade, if that makes sense. You never know what's going to win or what's going to lose. You never know what's a good trade and what's a bad trade until. But yeah, I mean, that's really it. I do believe this trade is valid from the M15 at least. Of M5. I do believe this trade is valid from the M5 at least. So I'm going to take this. If it loses, like I say, it's not the end of the world. If it wins, it doesn't save the world. It doesn't do anything. It's just a trade. I am aware of this fair value gap. Price could, hit this fair value gap and then come hit my stop loss, which is completely fine. I could look to re-enter off this extreme order block, or I could just call it a day there. But let's play forward and see. Did I enter properly? Yeah, I did. Okay, cool. Okay, price is pushing down now. M15 anything? No, not really. Gonna play for them. Let's see. Okay, I've been tagged in. That's a nice reaction. If you wanted to break even, this would be your break even point. So I'm gonna call that BE. And yeah, let's play forward and let's see. Now on a trade like this, breaking, I didn't really get up. I mean, it worked out, which is great, but I didn't really get to explain what I was about to explain. I was going to say, on a trade like this, because there is loads of bearish PD arrays, even though I said don't pay them any attention, you could break even, because on a trade like this, there is a lot of PD arrays going against your trade. So breaking even is never a bad idea, you know, when it is very reasonable for price to reverse and hit your stop loss. Like in this situation, I wouldn't be surprised if price came to this extreme and then respected it. That's why I would maybe consider entering on a break even, but normally I don't break even, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you. Unless there's news or something, breaking even is not something I usually implement. But as you guys can see, this strategy works. This is a very good, clean setup. There's not really much here. This was just a bog standard flip zone order block. I mean, it is very good. It's showing the power of the strategy. But yeah, let me go to the next day. I don't really have anything more to say on this day. Okay, we are in that fair value gap, but like I always do, delete everything, start from the daily again. So starting from the daily, price swept the previous day's low, but failed to close below it, which means we are bullish on this day. Price action is really horrible, guys, by the way. This is the type of price action you need a bit more experience to deal with. Price, although it's going up choppy, if that makes sense. On a H4, it just looks unbearable. This looks unbearable. I would say I will trade, because you can't just take a whole month off because of, you know, price action is not perfect. You still have to learn to trade in tougher conditions. You just have to be a bit more, you know, conservative with your trades and make sure you're taking the best trades. I would say you saw me take a B setup or like a C rated setup, but that's just because I'm purely trying to show you guys. So we start from the daily. I want to see how price reacts with the H4 to this point. I am aware we are in this fair value gap, but looking at price, it looks like we're most likely going to disrespect it and aim for this high. Price hasn't, you know, closed above the previous day's high on the H4 yet, or maybe on the H1 actually. Yeah, on the H1 we haven't fully closed above the previous day's high. If we close above the previous day's high, my, you know, outlook for this day is going to be bullish. If we fail to, it's going to be bearish. It's just as simple as that. I'm going to give it a couple of candles to close. I'll give it one more candle. So let's see how the hourly reacts. Okay, the hourly had a nice strong close above it, which means I would ideally you want to see the H4 close strongly above the previous day's high, but for this case I'm just going to use the H1 if we're on top of the M5. So I am bullish. Any bullish opportunity I can find, I will take. This price action is horrible. I'm going to play it forward and give it a bit of time. Okay, I am aware of this fair value gap also. Fair value gap. I mean, I could look for an area to enter long off of. Oh, I think this would have been a nice area to enter long off of, but it formed before my session, so I wouldn't have taken this trade. But if you're someone, you know, who wants to trade Asian sessions order block, this is a nice clean order block. Go through all my, you know, all my criteria, you're going to see that this is valid. Now, I mean, this flip zone, I can't really tell it's valid unless I drop down to the M3 and enter myself, but I haven't really introduced you guys to the M3 version of the strategy. It's basically the same, but like I haven't, you know, done a trade on the M3 yet, so I'm just gonna leave the M3 for now and just focus on the M5 and M15 until, you know, you guys get more confident with it, and then maybe I'll start implementing videos with my 3-minute version of my strategy. I don't really see a way for me to enter a trade right now. On M15, how do we look? No, I'm not really seeing a trade, so I'm just gonna continue clicking forward. Yeah, this looks like a no trading day. It's 11 o'clock. Price isn't really giving me anything too clean. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if I don't trade today. Yeah, price just, although I do know it's going up to this area, price is just chopping around. It's just chopping around. There's really nothing here for me. So I'm just going to go to the next day. Probably going to take this high and then probably see a reversal into tomorrow or something like that. Let me go to the next day. Okay, well, that did not happen. We just completely obliterated that high. Okay, so this is Thursday, our last trading day. And you guys, you're going to see that once you start to implement like a strategy and a system, trading becomes kind of boring because you're just doing the same thing over and over. If you go look at all my trades, the winners and the losses, there's going to be nothing that differentiates them other than they will win or lose. They look exactly the same reasoning. Everything's exactly the same. But okay, starting from the daily yet again, previous day's high, we've already swept above it. Cool, I am aware of this fair value gap here, and honestly for the daily that's it. Honestly for the H4, although we did close above the previous day's high, ideally I could be bullish, and I'm not saying I'm not bullish, but If you see price is shooting back into the range, which means it's coming to this fair value gap, most likely, not definite, to get fuel before we go back up. Unless we just completely disrespect it and go down. You have to think in both probabilities, guys. Now, where in this fair value gap could price go to? For the people who've been watching these videos, you really know I love to talk about the fair value gap overlaps, which there happens to be one right here. So for the people who haven't watched my videos before, a fair value gap overlap is like, for me, when the H4 fair value gaps line up with a H1 fair value gap. So you see the grey one is a H4 and the red one is a H1. But as you can see, they do overlap. So what I believe is that price in this H4 fair value gap is going to come to this area, which means that I wouldn't be against taking sells down to this area in this red box before I start looking for buys. So I mean, it's looking like that's probably what I'm gonna get, unless price comes into this area first and doesn't give me a chance. But yeah, let's wait and see, guys. Like I said, we don't need to try and predict the market. What time is it? It is 7:30. We play it forward. Okay. Price is currently, this order block is not valid, guys, because of the fair value gaps above. So I'm not really interested in something like that. On the M15, what are we looking like? Okay. I mean, still no setup yet. How's the M5 looking? Nothing intriguing really. I don't really see a setup right now. Let me play price forward and let's see. Okay, this does look on my setup forming. And then 1500 we look. Okay. Now, initially, looking at this fair value gap on the H4, it would be a concern for me because I'd be expecting price to push down into this fair value gap and then push up. Because I did say we are basically bullish. But because of the H4, H1 overlap, I know I'm anticipating price coming into the red box in this, gray zone. So I'm not really, this gray zone is not, although price can respect it, is not likely. Price tends to go to this red box more often than not. I am not really against taking this M5 sell right here. This order block here, by the way, for the people who are confused. Have we closed below that low? We have. This order block to me, I'm going to delete this line so there's less clutter. This order block to me is valid. We have the liquidity sweep. We swept these highs. We have the fair value gaps in the move that broke structure. That's 2. We have a break of structure. We just broke structure now with the close of this candle. That's 3. We have no fair value gap above our stop loss. That's 4. And the fair value gap is unmitigated, which means there is no reason why I shouldn't take this trade. Now, base standard, I will just be entering off something like this, aiming for just about 1 to 3. Let me measure out the size of the candle. Let's see where we're entering from. Okay, the candle is just about 6 pips, but I am fine with this setup just like this for a 1 to 3. I can refine my entry, try and find a better entry, or get more of a sniper entry, but you don't need to strive for perfection when you're trading. You just want to make sure you're in the trade and you're managing your risk. So I am fine to take this trade, and I am going to take this trade, so I'm just going to place the order. I've been on a good run though, back testing. I don't think I've taken many losses, but I do want to let you guys know the losses do come. You're not invincible in this space. I do have severe losing streaks. I say severe, but maybe 6 or 7 trades in a row where I just lose. Some of them are due to human error, some of them are due to the strategy, but you will lose. Okay, yeah, so let's see what happens. Okay, you see price was pushed into this fair value gap. I believe we're going to see something like this. We can see price push down, push up, and then dump. Now, the second thing I see is price respecting this grey fair value gap and completely shooting through my stop loss. This is very, very realistic, but it's improbable. Now, let's just wait and see. Let me delete these lines. You go and you go. Let's see what happens. If price touches this red box before, it touches my entry, I'm no longer interested in the trade because I am anticipating price going into this area and reversing. It looks like price about to tag us in though. Okay, we would now be tagged in. If you decided to drop your fib levels and enter on the 0.25 for a sniper entry, I'm pretty sure you would have been tagged in just off of that. Yeah, you would have been tagged in off the 0.25. But for the sake of this video, I just wanted to enter on the edge of the order block. And let's see. Oh, well, price came very close to my stop loss. I was going to even say I took a loss. Let's see what price does. Oh, it's pushing. For people, oh no, this isn't really a valid, re-entry. Okay, let's see what price is gonna do. For the people who like to scale into their trades, this order block right here would be a nice zone to scale in from. But I'm not going to scale. Oh, I mean, I'm not gonna scale in because I don't scale in. Why does price keep doing this to me today? I mean, I'm not grateful for it because it does help me show you guys that I do know what I'm talking about. But like, I don't get to really explain what I'm gonna say before I say. But if you're already in this original position and you wanted to scale in, this order block right here would have been a nice area to scale in on. And this probably would have been your best trade in your life because in one 5-minute candle, you got tagged in and you got tagged out for your 1 to 3. But I don't scale in. It's something I'm still experimenting with. I want to build up more confidence to the market before I start, over risking or risking more, if that makes sense. But honestly, that was really it for this session. This week was a very good week. I didn't take any losses. How many trades did I take? I think I took 3 trades. Yeah, I did. And they all happened to be winners, which is very good. But don't forget, guys, I do take losses. You will take losses. Like, yeah, that was really it for this video. Thank you guys for watching and peace.